Pokemon, a series loved by literally millions. I've been a huge fan of the series for as long as I can remember, with my first game being Pokemon Sapphire and my older brother's Red Game Boy Advanced. But since I started with Sapphire, I never really got a chance to play anything older than that. Funnily enough, for the longest time, I didn't even know what Pokemon Red and Blue looked like. And the first time I saw footage of it, I was super confused. Not my crowning achievement as a Pokemon fan. Since then, I've played all of the original Gen 1 games and Crystal. So today, I'll be giving my thoughts on the OG generation of Pokemon. I'll be styling these reviews in a certain format. First, we'll talk about the plot, followed by what I thought of it, then the gameplay and how it evolved since the last generations. Then going into some closing thoughts, including glitches, or general gameplay tics, and how they affected my play. Story. So, in every Pokemon game, you're started off with essentially a plot dump of the world, and how they use Pokemon, followed by naming yourself and your rival. Afterwards, you're just sort of plopped into the world. You go downstairs to see your mother, who wishes you good luck on your journey. Then you leave the house because you're 10 years old, and who's gonna stop you? Well, you try and leave, and some old dude in a lab coat stops you and tells you it's dangerous to go alone and takes you back to his lab, and tells you to choose your first Pokemon. In these games, your starter Pokemon are, drum roll please. I just sounded like unconditional fapping. Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is my favorite, but I opted for Charmander in my stream of Red because I never use him. He's pretty fun. Your rival always chooses the Pokemon with the type that yours is weak to. What a dick. So after scratching the shit out of their Pokemon with yours, you're not really told anywhere to go. The game expects you to remember that you tried to leave earlier and you were stopped. So you go and explore, you fight your way through Route 1 and arrive in Viridian City. Once you get there, you're not told what to do there either. You explore the town, some old drunk dude shit-faced in the road, so you think, can't go that way. You could go east and fight your rival again, which I didn't do. Or you can do what any 10-year-old would do, bust down people's door and ask for handouts.
This is how I enter my house. What's up, fuckers?
Why are you on my phone?
Fuck you, that's why!
Eventually, some dude working his 9 to 5 is like, dude, are you from Pallet Town? Professor Oak's Amazon delivery shipped here again. So you become a delivery boy for a bit and run your ass back to Pallet Town to give Professor Oak his Amazon package. Just in time for him to remember he forgot to give you a Pokedex, a device which records data on Pokemon after you catch them. Your rival barges in and asks for one too, then snarks at you that his sister won't give you a town map. But he doesn't actually, and you can go and get one from her. But you carry on back to Viridian City, and you can now walk past the old hungover dude. He even tells you how to catch Pokemon. You carry on north and find yourself in Viridian Forest, a huge maze full of bug-type Pokemon and Pikachu. You wander around with no idea where to go, and this creepy tune in the background. Finding yourself poisoned half the time, unless you chose Bulbasaur. This area is where the game kind of pop quizzes you on what you've learned, like using items, catching Pokemon, and dealing with battles. You wander and wander until eventually you pop out the other side, which leads to Pewter City. You walk around town, heal as soon as possible, and try and leave when some dude is like, whoa, only people with gym badges can get through here, which makes you think, what in God's name is a gym badge? So you fumble around a bit more, maybe look around the museum, but eventually you make your way to the gym. You walk in and get challenged by this kid who says you're a trillion million billion light years away from Brock. You kick his teeth in only for him to realize that a light year doesn't measure time, dumbass. You continue up and challenge Brock and beat him senseless, unless you chose Charmander. But even then I did pretty well after grinding for the equivalent of 2 hours. You beat him and get your first gym badge and a ton of money. You hopefully invest in some Pokeballs and or potions, and head west to rub your success in that one nerd's face. You work your way west until you arrive on Mount Moon. Whew, okay. So apparently people hate Mount Moon? I think it's great, and definitely the best cave in the game. Here, let me explain. This is one of the only 2 caves in the main game that doesn't require flash. It also lets you obtain a rare candy or 2, and a Moonstone. See, the Moonstone is dope, because you could have caught a Nidoran, male or female, earlier, and trained it up into a Nidorino or Nidorina, then have a Nidoking or Queen before the second gym. Well, actually, the Nidoran lines are less than optimal for these games because shut the fuck up. Even then, you can just catch Jigglypuff outside Mount Moon and evolve it into a Wigglytuff. Well, actually, Wigglytuff sucks. Alright, you can just catch a Clefairy in Mount Moon. Even if you don't use it, it's at least useful for Misty to tank hits. I'm honestly surprised I didn't use a Clefable in either of my teams. Anyway, you go through Mount Moon and meet Team Rocket, a bunch of Pokemon thieves who steal people's Pokemon, according to the show. You can tell these guys mean business because the first lackey of theirs that you meet has Eradicate. You know, the more I think of it, it makes sense. It's a scare tactic. And evolved Pokemon already, the hardest thing I fought up to this point was Onix. That's only assuming you chose Charmander. So you battle a few more Team Rocket grunts and some only child who found some cool rocks to make your way out of Mount Moon. Go east and you'll end up in a Cerulean City. As soon as you get there, there's a bunch of things to do. First, heal up, obviously. But after that, by walking around town, you'll find another gym, but you can't enter it yet, I don't think. So you wander around town and see this cop in front of a house, and he tells you of an evil organization called Team Rocket. Up to this point, we never knew if they were explicitly bad. The cops on their trails, that cements to you that they mean business. So, you continue north and maybe grab yourself a Bulba Boy in yellow version, and battle your rival just before Nugget Bridge. After beating him, he tells you he met a guy named Bill who showed him some rare Pokemon. Tipped off by your rival, you battle your way up the bridge, followed by a Team Rocket grunt in disguise trying to recruit people to join Team Rocket. You battle him and continue north and fight your way to the east and eventually end up at Bill's house, discovering he was turned into a Pokemon from an experiment gone wrong. A couple of clicks and button presses later, and he's back to being human again. As he thanks you, he gives you a ticket to the cruise ship, the SS Anne. You say goodbye and return to Cerulean City to see that the police officer has moved. So you go into the vandalized house and see it's all sorts of messed up. You talk to the people in the house, and here, the grunt ran off with the TM. So you chase after him and battle him. He gives you the TM after beating him, but the dude just lets you keep it, so what was the point of the cop being there? Anyway, this is one of my favorite aspects of these games. From here, you can go south and arrive in Vermilion City, go through Diglett's Cave, train up, get the bike voucher, and even go on the SS Anne before your second gym battle. The only thing preventing you from fighting Surge is being able to use the HM Cut to access his gym. Otherwise, there's a whole other area you could explore if you don't want to fight Misty at that moment, or she's too tough and you need some experience. Even then, you could just grab Cut from the SS Anne and go back up to Cerulean and use Cut to progress to Rock Tunnel if you don't feel like fighting him at that point, even though he's made simple due to both Nidoking and Nidoqueen, and using the Repel trick to get a level 29 Dugtrio. So after fighting Misty and Surge, you should return to Cerulean City and use your Cut ability to go east from the vandalized house and work your way to Rock Tunnel. Here we go. I hate Rock Tunnel. Let me explain. This area needs Flash, an optional HM that can never be forgotten, so sucks for you if you taught it to a member of your team you wanted to use. Other than that, it's just a pain to navigate the area without Flash, and Flash both sucks and takes a party slot if you want to catch a Flash slave. I usually use this picture to help me get through it. Kudos to whoever made this picture, honestly. So once you're done suffering through Rock Tunnel, you arrive in Lavender Town, a horribly creepy area with some atmospheric music, to say the least. You could try and go south, but you're ultimately blocked off by one sleepy boy, so you turn back. You could go through Pokemon Tower, a Pokemon cemetery, but even then you're ultimately blocked off by an angry boy. I mean, kinda. There's an easy way around it. So with this said, you battle your way west and arrive, but you seem to be stopped by a thirsty guard. I don't know what's prohibiting me from entering the city, but whatever. You find a way around and wind up in Celadon City. This place is huge and there is a ton to do, but the very first thing you want to do is visit the giant mall and buy a fresh water for the guards blocking you out of the big city. After that, do what you feel, from getting an EV for free, to buying some busted TMs for your Pokemon, to blowing all of the money you've accumulated over the course of the whole game just to get a Dratini, to buying a little girl some drinks from a vending machine to get some more killer HMs, to battling the gym. But the one thing you should 100% do is go to the game corner, just to thwart an underground gambling ring led by Team Rocket. It sounds way cooler when I put it like that. Damn. That was a lot, right? Well, we're not even getting started. Even earlier than clearing out Celadon City of things to do, You could have gotten access to Saffron City, challenged that gym, and battled the gym next to it, and gotten a free Pokemon, gotten a great TM being psychic, and saved the Sylph Corporation from Team Rocket trying to steal the Master Ball. Once you do that, you'll be given the Sylph Scope, which allows you to see who the angry boy is at Pokemon Tower and stop Team Rocket there and get the Pokemon Flute from Mr. Fuji, which lets you wake up the sleepy boys on your way south of Lavender, east of Vermilion. One thing I'm realizing about Team Rocket is that I'm saying their name way more than I thought I would. I realize now that Team Rocket is the source of all the conflict in your journey, from being stubborn in Mount Moon, to theft of items, to theft of Pokemon, to stirring the pot at Pokemon Tower, to holding up Sylph. The more I think about it, the more I realize that they are, directly or causing the most problems in your journey. I think that's super cool, honestly. Where were we? Yes. After Pokemon Tower, you can start to traverse the lower half of the Kanto region and trek through a good few routes with no Pokemon centers, so make sure you're stocked up on healing items. Once you hit the bottom, you arrive in Fuchsia City. Once again, there's a lot to do here, and a good amount of it is mandatory, sad to say. You have to enter the Safari Zone at least once and run through it perfectly to get the gold teeth and to get Surf from a prize house. Take the teeth to a house east of the Pokemon Center to get the HM for the move Strength and a rare candy while you're at it. After that, you could challenge the gym and the city, so you can use the move Strength outside of battle. After you've beat Erica, Koga, and Sabrina, surf to the south to end up in Cinnabar Island. Once you get there, you can go and revive one of the fossils you picked up way earlier, but don't expect them to be amazing or useful. Is what I would have said. Holy shit! These puppies come in at level 30 as rock and water types right before an area with fire types and a fire type gym? Hot damn, maybe they're not that bad. Try them out for me. Damn, you could save Ice Beam and Rock Slide and give it to one of them, as well as Surf. Then you could fill in the last slot, really. Sorry, I'm just so taken aback by this. I always thought they were like level 5. But that's the remakes, which get their own video later, by the way. Anyway, head to Pokemon Mansion and get told an unexpected, mysterious story about a Pokemon called Mewtwo. Fall your way down to the basement, then grab the TMs from the moves Blizzard and Solar Beam, a rare candy, and most importantly, the secret key. Once you leave with the secret key, you can now enter the gym. The gym shouldn't be too much of a hassle because you had to surf to get here, as well as the fossil Pokemon if you're really starved for resources. He's a bit of a difficulty spike. However, he's got some wonky AI that tells him to use a super potion when he's at full health. Fuck. And from here on out, the game expects you to be on his level. So if you need to grind, do it up. I'm not stopping you. I recommend it, honestly. From here, there's only one gym left, and it's right where you started, in Viridian City. Fly back there and spin yourself right round until you see the gym leader, who is none other than Team Rocket leader Giovanni. You have one final confrontation with him, which is harder than you'd think. He can kick your ass and toss you aside in a heartbeat if you underestimate him. After an arduous battle, or a bunch of surfing brah, you win, and he says he's going to disband Team Rocket, once and for all. Despite this twist being old enough to drink and about as surprising as Chic Zelda nowadays, I think it's a pretty satisfying conclusion to Team Rocket, with your fight making Giovanni want to, quote, dedicate his life to the study of Pokemon. Knowing what happens in later games, I'm actually quite excited to revisit Giovanni's story at a later date. At this point, you've done it. You beat all the gyms in Kanto. All that's left is Victory Road and the Pokemon League. I have this awesome picture in my head of the player exiting Viridian Gym and staring down the Pokemon League on Indigo Plateau with fierce determination. After that, you head west to the Pokemon League, only to be stopped by your rival one final time. He's got a beefed up team, and that's most certainly a sign of things to come, so if you didn't grind before, I would now. No, I didn't either. You head through Victory Road, solving some strength puzzles, and even encountering the legendary Pokemon Moltres. But after some hard-fought battles and some cryptic exits, more on that later, you pop out of the cave, and it's just you and the Elite Four. You heal up immediately, and should buy a ton of healing items like revives, full heals, hyper potions, and head to the first room, Lorelei, an Ice-type trainer. The Elite Four are all super intimidating in their own rights, but I never found them impossible. Lorelei always gave me some trouble, but my Charizard, Primeape, and Rhydon in red, and Pikachu, Venusaur, and Tauros in yellow really did a number on her. Here. Editor's note. Not really. This is all hindsight. If I did or didn't use these Pokemon, that's okay. I'm just saying in hindsight, if I were to go back and fight them again with these teams, I would probably use these Pokemon. So like that's why I'm like, oh, this, and this would be good, even if I didn't use any of those Pokemon. Back to the video. Next up was Bruno, the fighting type trainer. He uses fighting types, but has 2 Onix. I guess there only really were 3 fighting types in Gen 1, and at this point we didn't know if Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan were related. He was easy with Vaporeon and a little bit of Charizard in red, and really everyone but Pikachu in yellow. After him was Agatha, the ghost user? Why make a ghost type trainer if there's only one family of ghosts in the entire game? She has 2 Gengar, a Haunter, and 2 Golbat. Well, she's a bit of a challenge, but Gengar isn't immune to ground here, so that's that. I probably used Beedrill and Zapdos here, and Pikachu and Tauros and Nidoking here in yellow. The final member of the Elite Four, Lance, the Dragon user. At least he uses Dragon-like Pokemon, even though he has 2 Dragonair and a Dragonite. I would have used Vaporeon, Rhydon, and Zapdos here in red, and Pikachu, Blastoise, and Nidoking here in yellow. After besting him, he reveals that we would be champion if someone didn't beat us to the punch, our rival. After healing up with items, we step forward and challenge the champion. With a perfectly constructed team, with barely any weaknesses, he definitely needs a few attempts. So if you didn't grind like me, save after you beat Lance. After a couple of attempts and a bit of luck, we win. Professor Oak shows up and explains that your rival lost because he didn't care enough for his Pokemon, and that's why we won. Afterward, he instates us in the Hall of Fame as champion, and that's it. You've beaten Pokemon Gen 1. For my very first playthrough of Blue on my 3DS, I had tons of fun with these games, and playing through them on stream was a ton of fun in their own right. I'm still pissed I lost a few streams of Red. I had a Super Shonen anime moment where we were backed into a corner, and it was my Charizard versus Blue's Blastoise. We were both at low HP, and I knew I was faster, and I wasn't sure if Flamethrower would kill, so I had to bet it all on a Fire Blast, and it hit, and we won, and it was awesome. After doing some research on Giovanni, he's a great character, at least in this game. Maybe not in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but we'll get to those eventually. The fact that he was the one being in the way the whole time on your journey and went to such extremes to succeed is really cool. And what we learn about him in the next game, or at least what we can imply about him from the next games, is going to be interesting, and I'm excited to talk about him again. Glitches. Not too awful, it's just that the sprites in Red and Blue are fucking ugly. Yellows are nice, though, but when we played through Stadium on stream, I did abuse Missing No to get some rare candies, because that game was a little rough to start, I'll be honest. But even now, in 2018, at the time of writing this, it still has the charm of seeing my Pokemon in 3D, despite it being a little aged. There were a few Gen 1-isms, though. Gust is a normal type move, so is Karate Chop. Crits go off speed. Focus Energy lowers crit rate. Charizard cannot learn Fly until yellow. Night's Shade hits normal type Pokemon. Waking Up takes your turn. Moves like Wrap, Bind, and Fire Spin don't let the opponent move. Crits ignore all stat boosts, not good or bad ones. The Pokédoll skip. The Repel trick. I know I said I used a few, if not all of them at one point, but they're either different than other games that I'm used to, which isn't a knock on these games, or actually broken. And this isn't even all of them, just the ones I've noticed. Just to add this in, because I realized I talked about it earlier and never actually wrote it in the script, so I'll put that right here. What I was talking about earlier with the cryptic exits and Victory Road, when my very first playthrough of Blue, I got stuck in Victory Road because I didn't realize that the tiles for the exit were the tiles for the exit. I just thought they were funny looking tiles, so I was walking around like, where the fuck do I go? And I looked up a video and someone was like, yeah, you just go over here. I'm like, that's stupid, and I did it, and I was like, oh, but it sucked because it was at the end of the game and I was stuck and it made me mad. Alright, back to the script. Some aspects I thought that were super charming in this game were the old-timey designs of the original 151 Pokemon. They all just have a certain air to them that I adore. I can't really explain it that well. I know I'll get a lot of flack for this one. I really do enjoy the battle system. I know it's dated as hell, and nowhere near as intricate as it is today, and lol psychic types, but my Beedrill kicked some serious ass, and every replay of the game can be played so differently. Not even just teams, but how you want to get this, or how you want to get that, or how you get the badges. I love it. It's super apparent to me when you first get to Cerulean, and there's so much you can do after a little bit of time. It's nuts. Closing. So many people hate on these games because they suck, and they're bad, and Psychic Type is broken, and it's so glitchy. But it's tons of fun if you go into the game with the mindset of these games are older, simpler, and not as refined Pokemon, and play to those strengths instead of focus on all the arbitrary bad things that everybody talks about.